Okay, love that question. Love that question because it does make sense. The more that you become enlightened, it's harder to be angry at others, maybe, or sometimes you'll have that moment where, because you become so understanding of like, oh, well, maybe it's because of this. It gives us an enlightenment in the sense of we start looking at it from a different perspective. When I died, when I connected to source energy, this beautiful light energy of knowing so much in those short couple of minutes that happened, and it happened 3 times now. Well, documented, there's another one, but anyway, feeling that I felt so connected. I knew all the answers. I could see why I was here. It's just a different place, and that in the heart, I felt so at home, and I didn't want to return, which I had guilt for so long when I had a 5 and a 7-year-old, and I was saying as a mother I didn't want to return. And when I did return, I felt so much pain from the actual injuries that I'd gone through. And then I came back and I was like, I could hear and see and feel everybody's feelings through that near-death experience. And a lot of people who have near-death experience go through something very similar. You go somewhere else and you feel so connected, you feel so loved, and you may have not received that love growing up as a child, depending on your background or whatever, if you're unlucky, whatever. But the biggest thing that I learned, and the biggest thing I was having this conversation today, was literally that we have to have that contrast. The soul that comes here wants to keep growing and expanding, and the way it grows and expands is through contrast. It's a bit like having a toddler that just doesn't listen. That I had my grandson today, and he's just turned 1, and he took 2 metal spoons and he was banging them and stuff, and that, which was lovely, and we're clapping him and saying well done. And then he turned around and he went to whack himself in the head, and you're like, no, don't do that because it's going to hurt. But he didn't know what was going to come, so he banged himself in the head and he cried, and I couldn't stop him from doing that. He had to go through that. So my son said he won't do it again because he's learnt now, and I said he's only 1, he doesn't understand it. So he still kept on banging these spoons together, which was really good, and it was so cool, and he was really pleased himself, smiling. And again, he whacked himself in the head, and we're like, oh my God, does he not learn? And that's a bit like Source sees us go through in our experiences and wants to tell us and say, it's going to hurt. Don't do that. Don't do this. Don't do that. And as a toddler, it's like we don't understand because we're still going through the same process over and over and over again. And yes, we know as, my grandson gets older, he'll learn. But that could be years to come. And this is what happens on the planet. Source, God, whatever we want to call it, that energy can see what we're doing, knows what we're doing. We know that we're here. We want to expand this natural thirst to learn, because that's what our soul does when it becomes aware. It wants to grow, wants to experience things. But we can't pick and choose and go, well, I don't want to have that illness, and I don't want to meet that partner, and I don't want that to happen. Because how else are we going to feel that contrast? We have to go through these experiences. And yes, there will be some on the planet that will think, oh my God, they're the dark light on the planet, that they're the ones doing the sex trafficking, or they're the ones that are involved in child abuse, or those are the ones that are making money out of people, or illnesses are being placed on the planet and they're creating all these, whatever viruses or whatever it is. And we can be as angry as we like. And we might look at them and go, well, they're not facing any burden, whatever. But we don't have to think about that, because that's their judgment. That's where they're going. That's where they will be judged for that. But for us as individuals, we have to have the contrast in our lives to know when we don't like something, to know that we've grown through something and we move through it. And, if we go down the avenue of judging others, then that means we're tapping into that negative, lower energy. And that means we're as bad as them. And I hate using bad, negative, positive, whatever, but it just means that we bring our frequency, our vibration to that level. But the shinier that you shine, the more understanding you have about this soul journey, you are going to see that in others. And you may not like it how they are, but that's not us to judge that. It's not us for changing that. It's us to help those who reach out for assistance. It's those who are naturally making that progression. But there's always going to be that on this planet, because we came here to feel the contrast. We came here to feel the hunger, lack of money, or homelessness, or whatever it is. We came here to feel that so that our soul continues to progress. And hopefully through that experience, we then go on to serve others. We then go and help others. I have a very strong feeling that didn't answer your question or didn't come close to it. But you know, the minute we start fearing, when we go down the avenue of fearing of what's to come, then we end up numbing ourselves from the light. So that for us personally, we have to find our light in our day and find what we want to keep elevating, rather than looking at others who may be the darkest of dark. And when I'm sitting here and I've got someone in front of me this actually did happen, where there were a paedophile sitting in front of me, and they sat here and asked me literally, can they contact somebody? And obviously not going to say, I'm a paedophile and I want you to connect with this person. It was a child, and it was the child that came in spirit and said, I don't want to talk to them. And I said, well, can I ask the reason why? And they said they abused me. And I was like, oh my God. And this child was in a wheelchair. And this actually was a family member who actually had abused this child on this side. When I tuned into the energy of the person sitting in front of me, who I class as a paedophile because they went on to commit more crime against children, their energy felt so unsettled, so uncomfortable. It was as if having fear running through their veins. It was the most uncomfortable feeling. So for them, so a person that, you know, and I've sat in front of people who have been murderers as well, when I tune into their energy, it's so low and dense and dark. I feel so uncomfortable sitting with it because I'm the opposite. I would not want to reside within their physical form. So I don't feel they go off and not get any punishment as such, but it's not for us to judge them. It's like they will be judged in a sense. When you go back to light source, it's going to accept you at your energy frequency. Can you imagine if you are lower, denser frequency, that you are a murderer or a pedophile or whatever it is, that you've committed great, you know, crime against humanity? Their energy is so low, there's no way that they can sort of, not necessarily repent, they said, someone just said here, there's no way they're going to reach light source. Whereas when we reach light source, it's a total different frequency and energy. They'll never get that because of what they have done to others. So that's where the justice takes part in those individuals, how they're punished. So they will be punished, but it's not for us as humans to do that. It's to do it. You know, I don't know about heaven and hell, but I know about God, divine, and the source is a lighter frequency. But they'll never reach there because they will never elevate to that energy source, that level. It's a good point.